we take care of dinner time. We use fresh, clean ingredients to make mouth-watering masterpieces. Order our new flatbread.
Happening now.
Many families who are crossing the border are escaping violence in their own homes. And for some women, they're escaping abuse. But under current law, that's not enough to claim asylum. Why some victim advocates want to change that. 2 train cars hanging in the air, 24 people killed, including children, in what officials are calling the worst mass transportation accident in Mexico's history. The continued search for survivors next.
Millions of dollars will soon make its way to local schools to help students recover from the pandemic. Coming up, how school districts are planning to use the money.
A year ago, the lights were out and this business was closed. Bad news for a business that survives on Fiesta. Coming up, a look at how they survived and their recovery.
Not as hot today. Last night's cold front, we are feeling it out there. I'll let you know how cool it's going to get tonight and what we're going to see for the rest of the week coming right up. The News at 5 starts right now.
First at 5, we have an update to a fatal hit and run we first told you about yesterday.
A motorcyclist who died after being hit by a driver has been identified as 53-year-old Jerry Alfaro. San Antonio police say he was struck in the 1700 block of South General McMullen near Highway 90 on the west side. They say the driver, who was in a black SUV, did not stop to help.
Alfaro's motorcycle slid about 100 yards before he came to a stop. He then died at the hospital.
And with that in mind, Share the Road Look Twice for motorcycles. The Department of Transportation launching a new campaign during National Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month. On average, 1 motorcyclist is killed on Texas roads every day. Last year, more than 480 motorcyclists died.
In order to prevent these crashes, TxDOT is reminding drivers to take extra care when making a left turn and to pay attention at intersections. Look twice when you're changing lanes, slow down, and stay back when you're behind a motorcycle. And of course, give motorcyclists room when passing. The San Antonio Police Department is needing your help to identify this person. They say that the person that you see here is considered a person of interest in a shooting that happened back on February 20th. They say a 16-year-old was shot and thrown out of a black SUV near the Star Club Apartments in the 8800 block of Starcrest. If you recognize this person, call SAPD. The number is 201-207-7635.
The San Antonio police are looking for someone who they say shot a man at his home around 4 this morning. Investigators say the victim sitting in the living room of his home in the 4100 block of Alaskan Sunrise on the northeast side. When he heard a gunshot, he felt pain in his shoulder. They say the man grabbed his own gun and fired back, scaring away the shooter who was in his backyard. Right now, it's unclear what motivated the shooting, and at last check, no one has been arrested. The victim is expected to be okay.
Another man in the hospital following a rollover crash on the northwest side. It happened this morning around 3:30 in the 4100 block of Northwest Loop 410. That's right near Babcock Road.
Investigators say a man in a white SUV speeding when he clipped the driver of a black SUV, causing that car to spin out. The white SUV rolled over. The driver was taken to the hospital for a shoulder injury, and no one else was hurt.
Some new evidence in the fatal shooting, putting a 20-year-old man behind bars on a manslaughter charge. Rudy Aragon has been arrested in connection with the shooting death of 44-year-old Ruben Roberto Salazar. He died last November after a shootout at his home in the 500 block of Antoinette Drive. According to arrest records, Salazar was shot during a gunfire exchange with a group of suspects who were parked about a half a block away. Investigators later learned that the bullet that struck Salazar was fired from inside the home and not by one of those suspects outside. Investigators later determined about the push now to restore those protections as soon as possible.
As if conditions in their home countries aren't bad enough, it's believed many of the families at the border are escaping violence within their own homes.
Well, it's the worst form of domestic violence that you can possibly imagine.
Immigration attorney Lance Curtright says many of his asylum cases are like that. He says not even their own governments are willing to protect them.
So fleeing is really the last choice that they had.
Yet he says the Trump administration took away the protections victims had under asylum law.
Domestic violence is not a credible fear. I don't know what that would be.
Victim advocates like Marta Pelaez and immigration attorneys like Kurt Wright are asking U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland to not wait months until the changes President Biden has ordered are enacted for domestic violence victims asking for asylum. A quick fix, says Kurt Wright, would involve a previous case.
It's just to overturn that case and restore the law to what it was before the Trump administration dramatically reformed it by declaration of the Attorney General.
Otherwise, they say victims fear they'll be sent back, like many of those at the border now.
So they face more battering and more abuse at best, and even death at worst.
Jesse Degollado, KSAT 12 News.
24 people are now confirmed dead, dozens of others hospitalized after parts of Mexico City's newest subway line collapsed last night. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez with what some believe were warning signs seen years ago.
Rescuers sifting relentlessly through the rubble of Monday night's horrific train collapse in Mexico City. At least 24 people killed, including children, nearly 80 others injured when officials say a concrete overpass support beam gave way as the packed train passed over it around 10:30 p.m. The structure and train crashing towards the busy roadway 16 feet below, crushing at least one vehicle. The train cars left dangling, crews using a crane to keep them elevated and rescue survivors trapped inside. An agonizing process as family members gathered at the scene awaiting word on their loved ones. This man says his sister uses this line and isn't answering her phone. Mexico City's subway system is one of the busiest in the world, and this, the number 12 line, is its newest, opening less than 10 years ago. Local media reporting residents raised concerns after seeing cracks in the structure following an earthquake in 2017. Mexico's president promising a thorough and transparent investigation, saying, the Mexican people must know the whole truth. Nothing will be hidden from them. Some officials describe this as the worst mass transit accident in Mexico's history. That country's attorney general's office and a private auditor will investigate. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Let's take a look at the daily COVID-19 numbers in Bexar County. Metro Health reporting 165 new infections and one new death to report.
There were 223 COVID positive patients hospitalized, 71 in the ICU, 42 on ventilators. 785,170 people have received at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. 563,605 people are fully vaccinated.
A new goal set by President Joe Biden on the vaccine front. He wants to see 70% of U.S. adults partially vaccinated by Independence Day, 160 million Americans fully vaccinated. That'll require giving close to 100 million more shots within the next 2 months. With vaccine supply now outpacing demand, the White House is looking to more pharmacies to offer walk-in vaccinations and FEMA to set up more mobile clinics in rural areas. Right now, the CDC says more than 105 million Americans are fully vaccinated. While some doctors say herd immunity isn't attainable, others seem to think it is.
We think that probably about 80%, maybe 85% of people will need to ultimately get vaccinated in order to have herd immunity. I think that is possible.
The White House also saying today if states don't order all vaccines available to them, doses will be redistributed to states with higher demand. Meantime, Pfizer plans to ask the FDA for emergency use authorization in children ages 2 to 11 in September.
From addressing mental health to summer school, districts all across Bexar County now planning on how they're going to use millions of dollars finally headed their way.
State leaders recently announced $11.2 billion in federal pandemic relief funding is being released to help public schools. Tiffany Huertas looks at ways Northeast ISD and Northside ISD could use that money.
We are just very grateful that this funding is coming. There are so many needs for students.
The state releasing $11 billion in federal stimulus money for public schools. At Northeast ISD, they want to invest in mental health resources.
When everyone returns, we know they're going to come back with some things that we are going to need to really address.
And summer school.
We usually have summer school at a handful of our campuses, but this coming summer, we're going to offer it at 24 different locations.
Every school district has been allocated different amounts of funding. For Northeast ISD, it's more than $117 million. Northside ISD, it's more than $172 million. Brian Woods, the superintendent at Northside ISD, says addressing mental health is also a top priority.
We also know that some families have experienced some emotional trauma in the last 13 months, and that's going to have to be addressed, and that we'll need some staff to help us over a period of 2 or 3 years to do that as well.
He says funds could also be used to help students get back on track.
One of which obviously is with certified teachers who can work with perhaps smaller groups of students to help them remediate.
Wood says money could also go towards technology and improving the air quality at older schools.
It took Texas a little while to get here, longer than a lot of states, but I'm glad that we finally are here and they've released the funds to schools across our state.
Each school district needs to come up with a comprehensive plan. The deadline to apply is in July. Tiffany Huertas, KSAT 12 News.
A lot quieter outside today and cooler as well. 71 this morning, which was well above average, but this afternoon we topped out at 84, which is exactly average for the day. The record high being 99, set back in 1984. And we had a few showers in and around Comal County earlier, but that's all coming to an end. Temperatures 86 Eagle Pass, 85 Del Rio. Nothing too hot out there today. Nothing like what we had yesterday when we had triple digits south of town. Now 78 in Bernie and 84 Universal City. This evening, pretty quiet and not as windy. The wind's going to calm down a bit out of the north at only about 5 to 15. Clear sky and temperatures will be noticeably cooler. I'll break it down for you how cool and where across our area, and have some rainfall and aquifer statistics for you coming up right up. Ursula?
Thank you, Adam. It's a business dedicated to all things Fiesta. When the world entered the pandemic last year, business at Amol's came to a tough stop. 1 year later, they're back to prepping for this year's postponed event, how they're rebounding and what's kept them going. For so many small businesses, the past year has been a fight for survival, especially those that rely on big social gatherings like Fiesta.
Last year, we visited with the folks at Amol's Party Supplies. They were anxious, very anxious time for the 70-year-old family-run shop. Now, as 12 on your side's Marilyn Moritz shows us, there is still worry there, but there's also hope.
From the piñatas to the papel picado, the colors look brighter. This year, the lights are on.
Things are definitely a whole lot better than when we visited a year ago.
A year ago, Jeffrey Weiss had to dim the lights on Amol's right at his peak season, Fiesta. Worries? Oh, he had plenty.
It's basically the biggest two things you could worry about, which was, were we going to survive? And the second was, I was incredibly concerned about the staff, and I did not want to have to lay off anybody.
Thanks to the Paycheck Protection Program, Weiss says he didn't have to. But make no mistake, the last year was no party. He says revenues were down 80%. To survive, they pinched pennies, got creative with sales, and tapped into credit. Survival is one thing, but for a lot of small businesses, recovery will take longer. In this case, they'll take it one paper flower at a time.
I'm guessing, you know, we're going to need another 12 months to really get healthy again.
For now, he is heartened to see this. Customers. Marianne Sullivan missed the Fiesta fun last year.
But we're going to do it now, right?
Judging by foot traffic, Weiss says there is pent-up demand for a celebration.
I just think people really, really want to, you know, have fun and have something to look forward to and be excited about.
It may be a little late, but Fiesta is on, and so are the lights. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
Good to see customers in there.
Yeah, it's good to see Fiesta happening.
I've been to their newer shop there. It's great. Good location.
Yeah. It's on Fredericksburg, right? I've only been to the old one in the King William area, so.
Right, my parents from Minneapolis, they wanted to get some unique stuff for their Cinco de Mayo party that's in Minneapolis. Says, oh, we got you covered.
You're not going to find that stuff in Minneapolis.
No, we're going to set you apart from everybody else there. Yes, we are. All right, first, I want to talk about our weather headlines here. We've got less wind tonight, cooler temperatures tomorrow morning, actually down in the 50s for many locations. And we'll go over some of the rainfall statistics from the past several days, I should say. Take a look at this right here. Here's some of the highlights. And I know the rain came at a bit of a cost for some folks in terms of large hail and even some damaging winds, but the aquifer, it's up almost 16 feet in 1 week. Across Bexar County, we had anywhere from 5 to 10 inches of rain over the past week. It varied depending on your neighborhood. At the airport in town, we had 7.29 inches just since last Wednesday. Very beneficial rainfall came with this shift in our weather pattern. Unfortunately, like I said, it comes at a cost so often this time of year. But you look at the rainfall estimates by Doppler radar over the past 7 days, and a good chunk of it was right here in and around San Antonio and Bexar County. Popping the numbers up on the screen, you see wide-ranging accumulations. But when you especially look close into town here, particularly along 410 and 1604 on the west side of town, we're talking around Leon Valley, SeaWorld area, upwards of 9 inches measured, or I should say estimated by the Doppler radar, and it really jives well with some of the actual measurements from some of our viewers out there. So yeah, we did well rain-wise over the past week, and it looks like the rain is calming down for a little bit right now. We're going to get a break, and I think a lot of folks would agree that it's kind of a much needed break after what we've seen. Take a look at the radar today. We had a few showers pop up near Canyon Lake, a few little sun showers there, New Braunfels to San Marcos as well. That's all out of here. And our overall weather pattern is quieting down across the state. Still some activity to the east of us, but the real severe threat is far to the east of us, Mississippi, Alabama area. We're talking parts of the deep south and southeastern United States. Even some severe weather watches ongoing along the mid-Atlantic coastline. Again, that's all moving out of here. Our rain chances, zilch all the way through Friday. By Sunday, we get up to about 20%. So we will get into a pattern again Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of next week, where we could have some stray pop-up showers and thunderstorms developing here and there. So until then, we're not even looking at a chance. Just clear skies out there now, 84 degrees. Our dew point's at 56. So the cold front that moved through last night really dropped those dew points. Remember, they were in the low 70s yesterday at this time, so that's a nice change. North wind steady at 15, gusting right now to 28, and we've seen wind gusts earlier today in excess of 30 miles per hour. Now they're gusting in the 20s. Give it a few hours and the wind will continue to subside. So not as breezy and gusty tonight. Let's talk temperatures. 70s now in the hill country, 80s elsewhere. Cotulla, an exception at 92, but Gonzales 83, Uvalde 85, San Antonio currently about 84. Tomorrow morning, near sunrise, so for the bus stop, kids at the bus stop, 53 Kerrville and Fredericksburg, 50 in Junction, Canyon Lake 57, 58 San Antonio, near 60 farther south of town, Leon Springs 57 to start the day, 57 Timberwood Park, so a hint of a chill in the air compared to what we've been experiencing. And then by the afternoon, we make it up into the lower 80s for most of us. A lot of sunshine tomorrow, low humidity, not as windy, a northeasterly breeze at only 5 to 15 miles per hour. And high temperatures should stay in the 80-degree range all the way through Friday and Saturday. Then by Sunday, Mother's Day, low 90s, very sticky at that point. The humidity returns over the weekend.
Looks like a good rest of the week. Thank you so much, Adam.
All right, when Greg Popovich calls a timeout less than 1 minute into the game, it's not a good start.
You know what's worse than playing the Utah Jazz once in Salt Lake City? It would be twice in Salt Lake City when we come back. They are the best in the West, and the Spurs have to go up against them again tomorrow after that blowout loss last night. And the Western Conference standings, where do the Spurs wind up after the loss? Coming up. Our San Antonio Spurs have had a rough past 2 days, losing to the Beast of the East in overtime by just 2 points, and last night blown out by the best of the West, the Utah Jazz in Utah. That's with just about everyone back, including DeMar DeRozan, Jakob Poeltl, and DeJounte Murray, missing only Derek White for the rest of the season. In fact, DeRozan and Poeltl combined for the Spurs' first 8 points, including the shot by Jakob. But the Spurs play from behind, in part because of the play off the bench by former Wagner star Jordan Clarkson. Now, this step-back three will put the Jazz up 22-16, with finish with 16, getting more playing time with Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley out with injuries, and Rudy Gobert takes it hard to the hoop to put the Spurs down 60-43 at the half. Gobert would finish with 24 points, 15 rebounds. In the second half, it wouldn't get much better. The Jazz would extend their lead to 25 points off of Joe Ingles' three. That's after the Spurs didn't hit their first three of the game until Devin Vassell sank it with just over 7 minutes left in the third. DeMar DeRozan would lead the Spurs with 22 points. Rudy Gay right behind him with 17 as the Spurs fall 110-99.
Poor first half, really good second half. And, we've kind of had that personality, for a lot of the year. If we just follow teams around and don't get physical and don't get up into them, we go down. And then once we do, we realize it and we play like we did in the second half, both movement at the offensive end and physicality at the defensive end. So they did a great job in the second half, really good. A whole lot of people did a great job, but in the first half, we were basically soft.
All right, they'll do it again tomorrow night, only an hour earlier at 8 p.m. After lashing out in frustration over the NBA play-in tournament, where only the first 6 teams in each conference are guaranteed a playoff position, LeBron James sat out last night's game against the Nuggets. Losers of 6 of their last 7 games. Anthony Davis would step up against the Nuggets. He scored 25 points to help in the Lakers' 3-game losing streak, but he would have to step up even further in the fourth quarter. The Lakers would lead by 14 points, but see that lead dwindle to just 2 until Davis hit a bucket with just under 42 seconds to play to help the Lakers to victory 93-89 to move the Lakers up to 5th in the Western Conference. So let's take a look at the latest Western Conference standings. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, those are all guaranteed playoff positions at this time. The play-in tournament, if it was held now, would include Portland, Golden State, Memphis, and now San Antonio has dropped to 10th. Some people like the idea. I'm one of them. Others, like LeBron now, don't like the idea.
He liked the idea when they were safely
in it.
one or two.
Right? Yes,
now,
exactly.
yeah, it's funny how opinions change.
All perspective.
Yep.
We'll be right back.
Tomorrow morning, noticeably cooler. Look at that. Most of South Texas in the upper 50s, even lower 50s in the hill country. We get into the afternoon tomorrow. We're not going to warm up a whole lot. Generally low to mid 80s for highs, but parts of the hill country could be stuck in the upper 70s. Quiet weather the next several days. A lot of sunshine, low humidity through Friday. Then this weekend, a little bit hotter with the humidity back in place. See you at 6.